Yo, what is up guys, Ghost here, and today I've got even more leaked data mines from Temporal that have yet to release for Battlefield 2042. So a few videos ago I covered a bunch of features or assets that Temporal has discovered in the game files over the past few months, but unfortunately, as he rightly pointed out to me, I missed quite a few of them. So we're going to go over all of those here in this video. As always, if you do enjoy the content, consider hitting that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any future videos. As always guys, thanks for the support. So let's begin with the mysterious Unreleased Docklands map. So if we go all the way back to the 5th of April 2022, over a year ago, Temporal posted this on Twitter, referencing several unreleased maps for Battlefield 2042. Now, as you might know, game developers generally use placeholder internal names for maps and even the titles of their games before their release, and that's what we're seeing here. So the exposure map from Season 1 was internally called Ridge, the working title called Drained we now know as Stranded from Season 2, and Lights Out is Spearhead from Season 3. So surely Docklands is Season 4's map, Flashpoint, right? Well, no, actually. In fact, Temporal believes this could be a map remake from a previous game that is yet to be released in Portal. Now, a few months later, in December, it was then discovered that the working title for the Season 4 map, Flashpoint, was in fact Boulder, further confirming that Docklands wasn't a map for any of the seasons. So, by this point, Docklands could be a scrapped map. Like Temporal said though, it could well be a map remake for the Portal mode. I, for one, am very surprised that Portal has not received any additional maps since the game's release. I assumed that the initial 6 maps were just a starting point, and that with each new season, we could be seeing at least maybe 2 more maps added in from previous games, with DICE featuring some fan favourites like Wake Island, or, maybe some close combat gems like Operation Locker or Zebra Tower. But that has proven to not be the case. Ripple Effect Studios, who created the Portal mode, have confirmed that they are creating their own standalone Battlefield experience outside of the next main title that is coming from DICE Stockholm and the newly formed Ridgeline Studios, which may or may not be some sort of Battle Royale-like experience. But nevertheless, that could be the reason that we haven't seen any more Portal maps. Perhaps that was the original intention for Ripple Effect, but after seeing the negative response to the game on launch, maybe EA just had them move on to the next project, and any maps in the reworks like Docklands were simply shut down. Now that is all speculation, of course. However, Ripple Effect did create the newest Flashpoint map, and if I recall correctly, I think they mentioned in the podcast that it was originally just a small work-in-progress map not designed for Season 4 at all, perhaps supposed to be a Portal map. But DICE liked the map so much that they decided to turn it into its own fleshed-out brand new map instead, that we now know as Flashpoint. So who knows, maybe Ripple Effect do still have people working on some new maps. And of course, we know that the Season 5 map will be inspired or based on one of the map areas from Battlefield 4, so perhaps we'll see some fan favourite BF4 maps make it into Portal soon. Now moving on, we have an unreleased sniper rifle. So this one begins all the way back in August 2021, where Temporal data mined a bunch of weapons before the game had even released. So what you're looking at here are the real-life weapons that Battlefield 2042's weapons are based on. He didn't have access to the final in-game names at this point, which obviously are made up and, supposed to sound more futuristic. So the PP-19 Bison is the PP-29, the Chris Vector is the K-30, etc. You'll recognize most of the weapons in-game here, except for the TTS Exceed, which is a bolt-action bullpup sniper rifle. So spin on years later, all the way to Season 4, and we have yet to see this weapon release. However, back in February of this year, Temporal tweeted saying the TTS Exceed is still on the cards. Originally data mined before release, I spotted a new hint to rifle during Season 2. Back then it was scheduled for Season 4 according to the reference, but this was obviously changed, so we'll have to wait and see. So this gun was supposed to be part of Season 4, and for whatever reason it got pushed back. And we've heard from the Inside Battlefield podcast straight from the devs that the way DICE release content is like this. They basically work on new upcoming content for the game, and then they decide closer to the release window of a new season or a major update exactly what is going to make that update and what isn't ready and, you know, isn't going to make it. So for whatever reason, they decided to hold this gun back from Season 4, either because it wasn't ready or they thought, you know, that other weapons fit the season better. But I think that this pretty much tells us that you can expect this gun in Season 5 almost certainly, or maybe beyond that as one of the new weapons there. Next up, we have an unreleased melee weapon. Back in May 2022, Temporal tweeted this picture showing 3 new melee weapons for the game. Now, the cane sword and the kanjar knife we've seen, but the Japanese wakizashi sword has yet to make it into the game. Now, I can certainly see that having a very cool takedown animation, and I would fully expect this to be a paid store item rather than given to us for free, but who knows, maybe we'll see this in Season 5 or beyond as well. Now, I've saved what I think is the most interesting until last. So back in May of last year, Temporal data mined these 2 RHIB boat variants, saying a few people asked about the inclusion of boats in Battlefield 2042. Currently, there are 2 modern and unreleased variants of the RHIB 4-seater boat for Battlefield 2042. Now, you might be saying, hold on a minute though, Ghost. There aren't even any water maps in Battlefield 2042, nor any naval warfare or transportation of any kind. Exactly. So what are DICE planning here? This is more than a concept sketch here. These are fully fleshed out 3D rendered models, and there's even a mastery badge for the RHIB boat as well, which would lead me to assume then that they have weaponry available too. I mean, every vehicle in 2042 has at least a 30mm cannon, so, you know, I'd be sorely misled if they didn't. So what is going on with this? I mean, we're almost coming up on a year since this was data mined, and there still hasn't been so much of a whisper of a water map or anything involving boats in the game. Well, I believe this could tie into that Docklands map that we talked about at the beginning of the video. The name certainly suggests that it would be a water map, or at least have water in it, and since it too is unreleased, it could explain why we haven't seen the RHIB boats yet. My guess is that both Docklands and the RHIB boats are from a Battlefield 4 map, possibly the upcoming Season 5 map, maybe a Portal remake, we don't really know, but I don't think DICE would have put this much effort into making them to just scrap them, especially knowing that it would get a big thumbs up from the community. Then again, the likelihood that they were scrapped is still quite possible as well. After all, DICE would need to program, you know, vehicle-based water physics for us to be able to traverse the open seas. Perhaps that just proved to be too resource-intensive, you know, from a manpower point of view, and they were just canned. In any case, I hope we'll see them in the game sooner or later, and who knows, maybe even attack boats that could make a resurgence as well. That'll be pretty awesome. Now, if you're interested in even more unreleased features for the game, go and check out these videos here. As always, thanks for spending some time with me today, and I'll see you in the next video.